So everybody gets to hear this nonsense 10 years from now.
YouTube.
YouTube forever. I may just go through and delete them all.
Well, it'd be fun to look back on these. Like,
yeah, and we talked about that too. That's just like the other slide, only it's a different version of it. So one way we can get the memory density of flash higher is instead of having one flash silicon wafer, if I take one flash silicon wafer and put something between it and stack another flash silicon wafer on top of that. So I've got die on top of die on top of die. And they did this like 100 times and got a terabyte in a tiny little card. Now, one thing you got to be worried about here is you're going to have some yield issues with this wire bonding scheme. Because look how close those wire bonds are to each other.
yeah,
You got a non-zero chance that those are going to short out. So every time you're stacking more dies and the wire bonds are getting longer, more likely that they're going to break. This is probably not the best solution. Sharber would be unhappy. Another way we could do it is maybe put a printed circuit board and do this on two sides of a printed circuit board. And now I only have half as many wire bonds. Yes, it's more organized. It's a little bit better. Let's go back into the modern world now. Okay, so here's yet another way I can do this because we're trying to get the reliability up. So what we're going to do here is we're going to daisy chain these, and now there's no wire bonds running parallel to each other. There's less possibility of these shorting out. And all I had to do was stair-step stagger these dies on top of each other.
So it's a terrace sort of like wiring scheme. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Does it actually mean like actual glue between those dies, or like?
It's, yeah, that's probably, it's labeled glue, so I'm gonna go with it's glue.
Okay.
Now, there are more modern versions of this. This is the kind of like gives you the logical. What?
Modern glue.
Modern glue. My dad was a chemical engineer. He had an entire parts cabinet that was full of nothing but different types of glues and epoxies. And every glue job he ever did was the biggest mess you've ever seen. I mean, there'd be like globs of glue all over the place. It was horrible. He fixed my car once with glue. Fortunately, it was an old car. Okay. So we're kind of going through the progression of how the ideas and how this developed, and this is like 10 years in a nutshell. So here's another thing. Well, maybe I just stagger it like this. Now, if I do something like this, this is going to take up more board space because I have to. If I put 100 of these pretty soon, and then I don't have very good mechanical stability over here, this thing starts acting like a lever with a moment arm and all that. Tempting architecture, tempting gravity.
Yes.
Where were we at?
That is a really interesting design right there, too. Like, it's like tower.
Right. Okay. And so now I've got this one. So this isn't tempting gravity quite so much, and I've got equal weight on each side. I don't have a moment arm built up, and I'm only putting half the wire bonds on one side and half the wire bonds on the other side.
For some reason, they're not drawn in.
Okay, yeah. So those are less likely to short. Those are less likely to have shorting and mechanical problems associated with them.
That seems like the best way of stacking so far that we've seen.
Oh, you got even better yet.
Oh.
This is the one that
born.
This is the one that makes me excited. Okay, I stack them vertically right on top of each other, and I have these through silicon vias that go from one silicon wafer to the next silicon wafer to the next silicon wafer. So now I can actually construct my string through 64 different die.
Ooh. Wait, is that? I feel like Cambo mentioned something about this.
Yes, he did.
Like last year.
Yeah. Or yeah, he's got slides like this too. Okay, so these are called through silicon vias, and now the entire stack of silicon wafers. It's like a multi-story building. And I have elevators, the TSVs going through them and sending information across these dies. And again, to minimize, and I don't have the parasitics of the wire bonds either. And I've got the bump bonds down here, these little solder balls that go into the package that have lower parasitics also.
Wait, so
I've got 5 minutes. Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah. So here's the through silicon via here. And what I do is I make it really big so I can line these up across the die. So I've got a top interconnect pad. I got a space for the through silicon via that has to go through the die. It's going to be large compared to the circuits, large enough you can line it up with a robotic machinery and a bottom interconnect pad. So I make these really big, and so I can't miss them when I'm trying to line up the individual wafers, and I make the bottom pads really big.
The wafers are made with a hole in them that the vias can be put into.
No, the wafers are made with the via already there. So that's part of the processing steps, is I put this big via through the entire wafer, and with a top pad on the top and a bottom pad on the bottom, so I can interconnect it to another die on top of it, if I can line them up correctly and seal them with enough glue.
Enough glue.
I can just see my dad's job. Sorry. He was great at some things. The hand-eye coordination wasn't one of them. This is why he was never a pilot.
Is that why glue was everywhere?
Yes, he was not a pilot. He went in to be a pilot, but he couldn't pass the eye-hand coordination test, and so he became a navigator because he was really good with maps, like his grandson. So through this 3D memory, I've got one silicon layer, one die, another die. I can have the bit string, the bit line going between the two arrays and be actually addressing multiple flash die with one address line with these through silicon vias. And this is really kind of where modern packaging is at right now. And I'm excited about that. So these 3D vertical arrays, I have the bit line. These are, each one of these little brick and mortar looking things right here is a individual die. And I have the bit line going down through the die and the word line going across. So the word line goes through a die, the bit line is addressing multiple arrays at the same time. I can have bigger bit lines and I can get bigger pages of data out if I need to. And I am done. Yay. One more day of Flash, and then we get to the exciting world of emerging memories, or at least the ones I care about.
I need to read like a million NIST documents.
NIST. Why? Oh, okay. So I'm going to stop sharing and find out who's actually here, because I got a bunch of people not here. Hamad, Benjamin, Richard, nobody's here. Nolan, El Ray, and Shujuan will watch later. Okay. That's it. Any questions or any exciting stuff that you have, burning stuff you want to share?
I had something that I thought of midway through the lecture, but now I don't know.
Okay.
Remember it something.
Okay. Yeah, the NIST documents. What are you for random numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to prove that a random number generator is actually truly random number.
Oh. You know what I usually tell people?
What?
Go find Chris, but that won't work for you. There's a guy who knows how to run all those NIST suites.
Well, yeah,
Are you